Hey everyone, and welcome. Pretty much every modern business is grappling with this massive challenge, right? How do you prove that all this tech you're investing in isn't just ticking a compliance box, but is actually creating real value? Well, today, we're going to dive into a system that's designed to do just that.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What's the core problem here? Well, in this incredibly complex digital world we live in, the role of an auditor has been stretched really to its breaking point. It's created this fundamental dilemma, this tug of war between value and compliance.
And yeah, this is really the heart of the whole thing. I mean, think about it. Yesterday, the demand was pretty straightforward. Just verify compliance. Check the boxes, make sure you're following the rules. Simple. But today, whoa, the expectation is so much bigger. Stakeholders, the board, everyone, they're demanding that auditors actually validate whether these huge digital investments are delivering real, measurable business value.
So what are auditors actually dealing with? Honestly, it's a chaotic reality. They're trying to piece together this coherent story, but the evidence is, well, it's scattered across dozens of different systems. The data doesn't line up, it's inconsistent, it's not clear who's accountable for what. It is frankly a recipe for massive delays and a whole lot of uncertainty.
And this really brings us to the central question, doesn't it? When you're dealing with that level of fragmentation, how can you possibly meet today's expectations with yesterday's tools? I mean, that old manual looking in the rearview mirror approach, it's fundamentally broken.
So the big question is, how do we solve this mess? How do we deal with all this fragmentation? Well, the solution really comes down to a whole new way of thinking. It's about shifting from chasing down all these disconnected pieces of paper and data to actually evaluating a fully integrated system.
And that solution is called a Digital Value Management System, or DVMS for short. Now, the key idea here, and this is really important, is that it's an overlay system. So it's not trying to replace all your existing tools. Instead, it connects them. It sits on top and creates this structured way to actually see how your governance and assurance are working in real time.
So what the DVMS actually does is create a single, unified system of record that just gets rid of all that chaos. It establishes this direct, traceable link, a golden thread, if you will. From the very beginning, the governance intent, right through the operational execution, all the way to the final performance outcomes. It literally closes all those dangerous gaps.
And here's where it gets really powerful. The beauty of having this integrated system is that it lets us audit something way more important than just compliance. Now we can finally audit for actual value.
There's this great quote from the DVMS Institute that just captures the challenge perfectly. It says, "Auditing digital value is inherently more complex than auditing compliance." And it's so true. Auditing for value isn't just about checking a box. It's about figuring out if your systems, your processes, your investments, are they actually delivering the business outcomes you wanted? And that requires a completely new set of capabilities.
So how does DVMS provide that capability? It does it through these really clever structured models that connect the intent to the actual performance. So first, you have what's called the question outcome model. And this basically defines what success looks like in plain business language. Then you have the question metric model, which gives you the hard observable data to prove that the outcome was actually achieved. You see, it moves the whole audit process away from subjective opinions and into the world of objective, hard evidence.
Okay, so this new approach does something else that's really cool. It completely changes the rhythm of auditing. It moves it away from being this backward-looking chore into something way more powerful, proactive assurance. And I mean, this is a fundamental shift. Think about a traditional audit. It's reactive, right? It's a snapshot taken at one point in time. It's like driving by only looking in the rearview mirror. But a DVMS-enabled audit, that's continuous. It's forward-looking. It lets auditors spot issues before they blow up into major problems.
And the results of going proactive like this? They're honestly transformative. You get way more transparency and traceability. You get continuous assurance that's actually backed by real evidence. You get crystal clear accountability and ownership. And all of that comes together to create this rock-solid, defensible foundation for every decision you make.
All right, and this brings us to what might be one of the most critical challenges on the horizon for pretty much every organization out there. And we're going to see how this new approach helps us meet that challenge head on.
What am I talking about? AI, of course. Artificial intelligence. As companies rush to get AI into everything, they're introducing this whole new layer of complexity, of opacity and risk. So the question becomes, how on earth do you govern and assure a technology that so often feels like a complete black box?
Well, this is where a system like DVMS can really help demystify AI. By plugging AI into those same question outcome and metric models we talked about, it makes these so-called black box systems observable. An auditor can suddenly validate that the AI is actually producing the intended compliant outcomes. It establishes a clear, traceable line of sight all the way from the training data to the final business impact.
So what does this all lead to? Ultimately, it's a total transformation of the audit function itself. By being able to provide this kind of forward-looking insight, the auditor evolves. They're no longer just a historian cataloging past performance. They become a vital, strategic partner who's actually helping to drive the organization's future success.
And that brings us to our final thought for today, and it's a bit of a provocative one. It's really a question that every leader should be asking themselves. In this crazy era of digital transformation, is your audit function just a historian of the past, or is it truly ready to become an architect of the future?